Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Gaia and I'm a recent graduate in Psychology and Criminology at Nottingham Trent University. For those who regularly watch my channel, you may have noticed I have a tree. I have a new addition to this backdrop. I like to use this backdrop quite a lot actually in my videos, but sometimes it can be a bit plain with the white walls. So I thought to spice it up a little bit with this, I don't even know what it is, but it's some kind of shrub. Let me know if you think I should keep it for the next video. Anyway, over the last 4 years, I've made a lot of mistakes and learnt a lot, especially when it came to preparing myself for university. So today, I'm going to be telling you 10 things that I wish I knew that I know now that I've graduated. If you've been with me like a while, like pretty much nearly the entire time that I've had this channel, you'll probably remember I did do a similar video to this where I spoke about things I wish I knew before starting university.
A few people have asked me to do a advice I would give myself before I started year 1 of university. So these are my top 10 tips of how to survive your first year at uni.
I filmed this at the start of my second year and the things I said in that video are still definitely very relevant, so if you haven't had a chance to watch that video, I will link it above. I really recommend listening to it. So you can probably also tell I definitely think my confidence in front of the camera has definitely changed over the last 3 years of having this channel, but despite that, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I'd like to think there's quite a lot of good advice in that video, so go watch it. Today I'm going to be adding a little bit more to that things I wish I knew list, because as I mentioned, we are reaching 10 years of this channel. 10 years. Why did I say 10 years? 3 years of this channel. Oh my god, this heat is getting to my brain. But yeah, here are some things that I have also realised over the last 3 years. Some of these things didn't even occur to me until actually my final year. So if this video sounds like it would help you, please give this a massive thumbs up. It really helps my channel. And if you're new here, I do university advice, student vlogs and lifestyle content. So I'd love if you click that subscribe button to join the family. Okay, so the first thing that I wish I knew, that I know now that I've graduated, is don't buy every single thing you can think of before you come to university. Don't get me wrong, you might need a lot of those things when you come to university, but I'm talking about buying every single type of utensil or like pots and pans out there. Take it from me, just buy like a skeleton set, and by that I don't mean like a literal skeleton, I mean just bring the bare bones of what you expect. So instead of buying about 8 different saucepans, which is something that I definitely did, just buy like maybe 2 saucepans max, like 2 different sized ones. Maybe buy like an 8-piece cutlery set, just so you have a spare set of cutlery just in case you haven't washed your previous setup or someone breaks it, which was definitely the case for me. Have a mix between glasses and mugs, but definitely don't bring about like 10 or 20, which is definitely what I did, because if you know me, you know that I have a slight mug obsession, to the point that I actually have a mug tree. Yeah, it's a problem. In first year, I thought I needed to bring like the full set because I was moving away from home. I think I pretty much joked about it actually in loads of different videos, but I actually brought this potato masher as well, thinking, Gaia, definitely gonna have time to mash up potatoes at university, and spoiler, I didn't. So don't buy things that you definitely think you're not gonna use. On the off chance that you do need more pots and pans, still buy like a skeleton set, because you can always buy extra when you're at university. Trust me, you are definitely not gonna have as much space as you think. The next thing I wish I knew, which I kind of technically did know, but I didn't do enough of this, was make sure to take vitamin C tablets or like other immunity like vitamin supplements, not only during Freshers Week but throughout your entire time at university, especially when you're going on nights out, because trust me, your immunity will definitely plummet during Freshers Week. Freshers flu is a thing. When you move to university for the first time, you've got thousands of other students moving with you, so it's really easy to catch colds and flus, and that's not excluding the big C word that we do not like. So take it from me, every time you go on a night out or you are going to be mixing with a bunch of new people, I suggest taking a vitamin C tablet in the morning, just so you know you are at your healthiest. Otherwise, you will be sat in bed with freshers flu for the next few weeks, missing out on all the fun you could have had if you'd just taken a vitamin C tablet. The next thing that I wish I knew that I definitely know now is that your tutors are literally there to help you. It is literally their whole job to support you. When it comes to learning and teaching, university is completely different to secondary school and sixth form. But at university it is very easy to feel like,
oh, these are really scary professors, I shouldn't bother them with questions, I probably shouldn't ask about some essay feedback that I just got.
I remember in undergrad there'd be times where I'd be leading up to like a hand-in date and be really wanting to ask a question to my tutor, but I'd be too scared to because I'd think it was like a stupid question, so I'd just kind of struggle in silence. I wish, looking back in my undergrad, that I'd reached out to my tutor every single time I got an essay back or a report and just spoke to them, just contacted them, sat down and said, can we just talk through my feedback because I don't understand something, or how would you suggest I could better this, because it is totally fine for you to contact them outside of lectures. You shouldn't feel like the only time you're allowed to talk to them is during a lecture or seminar. At university, lecturers and other teaching staff have like designated slots in the day where they're just free and students can come and talk to them about anything. Honestly, just email your tutor or head of year or whoever you want to talk to, because they are there to help you. They really want the best for you. That is something I'm definitely going to be taking advantage of a lot more in my masters. I'm really going to be pushing myself out of my comfort zone to talk to my tutors. The next thing I wish I knew that I definitely know now is that when you first start university, take time to research or just find out what support there is at your university, whether that's academic or personal, even if you don't need it now. When I first started at NTU, I really didn't realise how much support there was for me, and unfortunately when I did need support, because I didn't think there was much out there, I just thought to kind of deal with it on my own. I've mentioned it in other videos, but I really do wish I could go back and just shake first year Gaia and be like, look, you're struggling, you need support, you shouldn't feel like you have to deal with this on your own or like figure out what this is. And I generally think if I'd taken a bit more time in the first few weeks of university just googling what support there was, just so I had an idea if anything were to happen, some of the issues that I did face would have been resolved a lot quicker. So I really do recommend just taking some time googling the support at your university and making a note of it, because even if you don't need it now, you may need it in the future and it will save so much time and worry. The next thing is something that I did realise in second year but didn't actually implement into my study routine until final year, when I didn't actually have any lectures. So looking back now, I'm just like, Gaia, why? It's a bit late now. But that is, if you have time, write your lecture notes before the lecture. When you start university, your university will most likely give you your lecture slides a few days in advance of the actual like timetabled lecture, giving you time to write up those notes. Some of you may think, Gaia, why would I do that? I can just write it during the actual lecture. And I know, my friend, I thought that as well. That's pretty much what most students do. But trust me, it doesn't work. Or at least it didn't for me, because if you leave your note taking until the actual timetabled lecture, you're going to be desperately trying to write down the notes at the same time that the lecturer is speaking, and you're not going to be taking in anything they're saying. I literally did this for the majority of my undergrad, and I'd come away from the lecture and it'd almost be as if the information had gone in one ear and out the other. I couldn't tell you what I'd just learned, because for the entire time I just focused on writing the notes down and hadn't really sat there and absorbed what I was being taught. So what I really suggest you do is write your lecture notes before you get to that lecture, and then during that time that you would have been writing those lecture notes, you can just sit there and listen to what the lecturer is actually saying, because a lot of the time the lecturers aren't just reading out the slides, they're adding like little extra bits to explain whatever you're learning. And if you've already written out those notes, already sort of kind of familiarized yourself with that topic, sitting there and listening to the lecturer explain it again will help you consolidate your learning a lot more. So I'm definitely going to be implementing this approach in my masters. I know it is a little time consuming. It's almost like writing your notes out twice, but it will save you a lot of time when it comes to revising. The next thing I wish I knew when coming to university is that you aren't going to find like your forever friends or friends for life within the first week. You might not even find them at university. It's completely normal if you actually, finish your 3 years at university and feel like you're leaving with 0 friends. That is the case for me. I feel like I can count the amount of true friends I have on my hand. And unfortunately that's because you will find at university that not everyone is as mature as you expect. Not everyone has your best interest at heart, and the ones that do, you don't always find straight away. So don't worry if in the first few weeks you feel like you have 0 friends, because that happens to a lot of people. A great way to meet a lot of friends is to join as many societies and as clubs as you can. This is something that I literally regret so much that I didn't do enough of in my undergrad. I'd like to think I'm quite extroverted and outgoing and I love a good night out. But for some reason in first year, I just didn't get involved in as many societies and clubs as I should have. And then the pandemic hit, which made socializing even harder. So I definitely do feel like I have missed out on quite a bit in that regard. And it's something that I'm definitely not going to let happen again when I start my masters. Trust me, and I hope you guys hold me to this, I am going to join so many societies. It's a great way to meet new friends and I really recommend it because it's always really good to have several different friendship groups, because you might find someday you'll fall out with your flatmates or fall out with your course mates, so it's always really good to have another set of friends. Also, do not sign a house tenancy or contract with the first people you meet, like first group of friends, because like I said, the first people you meet or befriend at university will most likely not be your friends by the end of your 3rd or 4th year. During your first few weeks at university, there is definitely that pressure that you need to find your friendship group, quickly sign on a house, because I'm pretty sure student housing season starts in like October or something. So everyone feels like they need to find like a house ASAP, which can feel really stressful because you don't always feel like you know these people and now you're supposed to live with them. But take it from me, there will be houses available all throughout the year probably until like the summer, so you have got so much time. Please do not just sign any old house with any old person, because chances are they probably might not be your friends by the time you end up living in that house the following year. Speaking of student housing, the next thing that I wish I knew before coming to university that I know now is to check out student landlords before you sign any contracts or paperwork. Find out what other students are saying about them on review websites or in just general Facebook group chats. So these could be things like how the landlords treated them, what they were like when it came to giving back deposits, if there was anything dodgy and illegal about them, because trust me, landlords love to take advantage of students because you don't always know your rights. I remember in first year placing a deposit on a house, then finding out that the company had actually been blacklisted by my university. Let's just say I didn't sign that contract. So the next thing that I wish I knew before coming to university that I definitely know now is to pre-drink before you go to a club. Now, I know for some of you that might seem like a no-brainer. Just talking about this, I'd be like, why wouldn't you pre-drink before you go to a club? But when I first started university, I had only just turned 18, so I didn't have much experience of going out and drinking and like the kind of do's and don'ts in that field. And a lot of the time I didn't really pre-drink. I'd just get to the club and then just pay an extortionate amount at the bar, trying to get myself drunk in that club. And let's just say your student loan will hit you for that. So I really recommend drinking before you get to the club, so it's just a cheaper night overall. By all means, this is not me saying drink stupid amounts of alcohol before you get to the club so you can not drink all night. I'm not saying that. Please know your limits. Please do not drink excessively. For a lot of people, economically, it's better to get to the club a little bit tipsy, not paralytic, not super drunk. That's what I used to do, and then I'd get to the club and would probably only have to last on maybe 2 VKs for the rest of the night. The next thing I wish I knew that I've literally only just realised now is to buy lots of Tupperware so you can basically do lots of bulk cooking. I'm pretty sure this was on my radar when I started university, but I just didn't really listen to it, and I thought I'd have the time and patience to cook every night. Trust me, meal prepping is gonna save your life, especially when it's like the night before you have like an essay due and you literally have no time to cook or anything. This is definitely something I'm going to be implementing in my masters, because no doubt I'm probably gonna have even less time to cook, and I don't really want to be living on ready meals for the entire year. So I know this point might sound a little contradictory, is that a word? Like, it's contradicting my first point when I spoke about don't buy loads of utensils and pots and pans. That still applies. Just get to university, see what space you have, and then if you are able to buy several little tubs that you can put your meal prep in, I really recommend doing that. I personally also like making myself a smoothie the night before and putting it in the fridge, so that way I don't have to worry about doing it in the morning and I can just take it with me to my lecture, because that's another thing. You might not always have the most time to eat breakfast in the morning, or you might be the kind of person that doesn't eat breakfast and only gets hungry at like 10 AM when you're in the middle of a lecture, which is definitely me. So smoothies will save your life. They are kind of like a meal, but you're not making a mess in the lecture trying to eat it. So yeah, That's another thing, smoothies. If you like smoothies, I really recommend getting a flask, making a smoothie probably the night before so you can store it in the fridge, and bingo, you have like a breakfast on the go. And the last thing that I suggest is if you are someone who is looking for a part-time job while you're at university, I really recommend working in places such as a coffee shop or bookshop. This is so you have your evenings and nights off so you can go out or just chill at home. Technically, this last point didn't really apply to me, only because when I came to university, I already had a job that I could like transfer into, because I at the time was working for Wetherspoons, so I could just transfer to another pub. God, that feels like such a long time ago since I was working for Spoons. And I didn't work evening shifts. I specifically requested daytime shifts on the weekends just so I wasn't working late. However, because I was working early both days on the weekend, I still couldn't go out. So I think when it comes to finding a part-time job for my master's degree, I'm definitely not going to be going back into hospitality like Wetherspoons. I'm going to try and find a job like a coffee shop or a bookshop, or just somewhere that doesn't require you to work late, so you do have a bit of your life back, if that makes sense. Also, if you are hoping to start a part-time job at university, I really recommend starting to look and apply for jobs now before you move to university, just so you can beat the competition. You know, the last thing you want to do is leave it to the last minute, get to university and then realise that a lot of the jobs have been taken up because loads of other students want to work during their studies as well. Don't get me wrong, there probably will still be jobs around because companies do love to hire students, but I do really recommend just looking now so you know what kind of jobs are available and just so you have a bit more of a choice. If you are worrying about applying to a university that you're yet to move to and you live quite far away from, so you can't exactly start right now, that is completely okay. When you apply, just tell them that you're hoping to start at university in their location and that you can only work from September. A lot of companies are really flexible and are completely fine with you not starting straight away. So yeah, that has been the 10 things that I wish I knew that I know now that I've graduated. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope some of these tips have helped. I know personally I'm definitely going to be trying to implement some of these tips into my own routine and schedule when I start my masters in a few weeks time, because they definitely will make my life a lot easier. If this video did help, it'd literally mean the world if you could go smash that like button if you haven't already, and click that subscribe button if you're new. But other than that, I've been Gaia. This has been 10 things that I wish I knew that I know now that I've graduated, and I'll see you next week for more content. Bye!
Oh.